Let's get a check now of what is happening in the world of business. We're joined by our business editor, Kate Moody. Hi there, Kate.
Hi, Tom.
Now, there is a new woman in charge of the World Trade Organization. Her name is the rather difficult to pronounce Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Tell us a little bit more about her and some of the challenges she faces.
Well, there's a myriad of challenges there. She is the first woman and the first African to lead the World Trade Organization. And she'll be starting off with how to make the organization relevant again. Arguably, the WTO's most powerful unit is the appellate body, which helps to settle trade disputes. Under Donald Trump, the U.S. had blocked new appointments, essentially paralyzing the whole organization. 7 vacancies must be filled now as soon as possible. There are also widespread calls for reform within the WTO, notably its rules for developing and wealthy nations and how it polices China in particular. Only then will it really be able to tackle the international trade disputes that have erupted unchecked in the last few years, including a tariff battle between Washington and Beijing, which the Biden administration has shown no sign of ending. Well, Okonjo-Iweala has twice served as Nigeria's finance minister, and she spent more than 2 decades at the World Bank. Her appointment had been blocked by former President Trump, and she was given the green light by Biden some 10 days ago. The U.S. delegation has said it's eager to work as a constructive partner with the WTO and its new leader. She described the organization as vital to helping the global economy recover from the coronavirus pandemic. Take a listen.
The pandemic and its economic fallout have highlighted the interdependence of countries, the importance of multilateralism, and the need to strengthen collaboration to achieve fair and balanced trade agreements that provide opportunities for all WTO members.
The French government has extended its pandemic aid measures for the most vulnerable workers. Over 400,000 people were receiving the monthly payments of €900. Many of them were on short-term or temporary contracts, especially in the hard-hit tourism, hospitality, and culture sectors. The support had been due to expire at the end of February, but it will now be renewed through May, with the Labour Minister saying the health situation made employment prospects uncertain. Meanwhile, a new report showed more than 2.1 million people have received aid from food banks in France since the start of this year. About half of them are new recipients who have struggled to make ends meet during the pandemic. A major Australian media group has struck a deal which will see Google pay for news. The government, meanwhile, is still pushing ahead with its plan for new laws that will force digital giants to pay for articles that they share. Yinka Oyatada has more.
It's a deal that could see Seven West Media raking in €19 million a year. Its agreement with Google comes as the Australian government is set to start debating a landmark bill that would force digital giants to pay for news. Authorities argue the legislation would help sustain the journalism industry. Pleased with the deal, the chairman of Seven West Media said,
"The negotiations with Google recognise the value of quality and original journalism throughout the country and in particular in regional areas."
The law is designed to make up for advertising revenue that Australian media organisations have lost to Facebook and Google. While several newsrooms suffered cuts in 2020, the digital giant's profits grew unabated. Google made €2.7 billion, while Facebook made €0.4 billion. The proposed legislation will provide a framework for media companies to reach deals with Google and Facebook that ensure that they are fairly remunerated for content they generate. It's the first of its kind in the world.
This is groundbreaking legislative reform. This is world leading. There are many eyes across the world that are focused on what Australia is doing right now.
While Australia represents a small chunk of profit made by the digital giants, the move has ramped up fears that if implemented, other countries may decide to follow suit, leaving Google and Facebook's global profits under threat. If the government goes ahead with the bill, Google says it will pull out its search engine from Australia.
Separately, Google has agreed to pay a fine of over €1 million here in France after the government's fraud and competition agency found the search engine had displayed misleading ranks for French hotels. Well, Uber has urged the European Union to recognize the importance of gig economy workers as the bloc considers new regulations. In a white paper published on Monday, the ride-hailing app said its business model, which considers drivers as independent contractors rather than employees, allows them to create more jobs. California is among those that has approved that stance, but many countries around the world are challenging Uber and other platforms, saying they need to improve working conditions. Let's check in on the day's trading action now. Wall Street is closed for President's Day. The major European indices ended higher. We saw the CAC 40 up about 1.5%. It was boosted by shares of media giant Vivendi, which jumped 20% today. Stocks in Milan were up about 0.8% after new Prime Minister Mario Draghi took office this weekend. The FTSE 100 rising 2.5% in London. The pound sterling, meanwhile, hitting a 3-year high against the US dollar. Well, Jaguar Land Rover is accelerating its electric transition. The UK-based car maker, which is owned by Indian conglomerate Tata, is phasing out diesel and petrol engines. CEO Thierry Bolloré, a former boss of the French group Renault, told France 24 today he's encouraged by the brand's resilience and prospects for the future, despite the bumps ahead. Jean-Emile Jamin has more.
Jaguar Land Rover has decided to rebrand. The car manufacturing giant on Monday announced a commitment to produce electric-only Jaguars from 2025, while 60% of Land Rover models will follow suit by 2030.
By 2026, we will have more than 6 electric vehicles being offered with Land Rover in a pure electric mode for our customers. We estimate to be ready and commit for a zero-carbon company by 2039.
The $2.5 billion overhaul is seen as key to reviving a company which has fallen behind rivals BMW and Mercedes-Benz in rolling out electric technology. Brexit uncertainty, coupled with declining diesel demand, has also meant a fall in sales, resulting in underused UK manufacturing sites. The luxury car maker has also revealed plans to substantially reduce UK-based management. CEO Thierry Bolloré has, however, said the company will now be targeting quality and profits over volume.
We are aiming to gain a lot in terms of efficiency, global efficiency. It's a permanent adaptation of our workforce, which is necessary. And by the way, much more in terms of talents, in terms of skills, which are necessary for the future positioning of the company on the next value chain.
But it's not just environmental issues which have global car makers scrambling. Despite making small recoveries from a COVID-hit year, supply disruptions have also resulted in worldwide shortages of semiconductor chips, responsible for the basic functioning of modern cars. While factories expect a ramp-up in chip production, they have warned that recoveries won't be instant, giving JLR just one more roadblock to overcome.
Changes ahead there throughout the industry, Tom.
Certainly looks at changes for the better by the looks of things as well. Thank you very much indeed. Our business editor, Kate Moody. That's it from me. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. 2 minutes, actually. See you then.